Hello, Happy New Year. It's my first time opening the project back up for this year. And I've got a little to-do list to be getting on with. Lots of thoughts about the game. Major news is basically we haven't really been getting as many wish lists as I'd like. And as many people as end up seeing the game online, that I don't think it has a visually appealing look. And that's fine because I don't rate myself as an artist. I'm not trying to be an artist. I'm not. Just make sure the microphone's working and everything. Yep, it is. I don't rate myself as an artist. That's not a stick that I measure myself by. But I think that the look of the game isn't there. I have had good feedback on the gameplay. So what I want to do is I just want to overhaul the art entirely, actually. I don't know if that means changing the whole thing with the beans. Maybe that's fundamentally unattractive. These disembodied heads bouncing around. I think that's not it. I think that can work as long as it looks good. It is an easily replicable art style, but it's not going to look good. Even then, it's not going to look good if a non-artist is doing it, and I am a non-artist. So I'm looking into getting collaborators. Just started speaking to people on Fiverr, and I think I am going to go ahead and sort of update the entire look of the game. Someone who can understand the colors, the UI, have like a unified thing, and it just saves me time. It allows me to focus on actually making the game, which is what I want to do. I'm not an artist. I will learn to make art in order to make a good game, but I don't enjoy it. It's not something I'm particularly good at. So it's a fairly big thing, and we may even completely reset. And here's like an interesting piece of advice for anyone thinking about making games. So you've got and maybe this describes you. You've got a game. You think it's a good game. You've had people tell you as well it's a good game. But nobody's told you it looks good, and you do Next Fest, and Next Fest doesn't bring in thousands and thousands of wish lists. What do? I think you don't just release the game. That's kind of what I've done in the past. Is I want to move on. I want to finish it, start working on something else. Just release it and move on. No, I think you have to. You have to reposition. We've done an attack on the enemy. The attack was not very effective. We try a different element. Right, it's just like Pokemon, and I think in this case, it is the general look of the game just is a little bit too on the amateur side, so that when people see it, when people see the game, they say, this is another low quality survivors like reboot or sort of copy, and it's not that at all. It's completely different. So the other thing is looking at the trailer, getting across that variety, and really making sure anyone who watches the trailer knows within the first 5 seconds of looking at the trailer, this game is it's not a simple survivors like. It is all about having your army with you. It's a survivors like where you can summon an army. There's nothing else like that on the market. They're similar, but the ones I've seen are either that you've got special moves which are framed as allies, but they're not. I mean, they're essentially just, it's more like a summon in a Final Fantasy game than a summon as a sort of allied unit like in a Warcraft game. And I've seen others where I've seen another one where you've kind of got this big blob of units that move with the player, so they're not targeting enemies. They don't work on the same rules as the enemies, and it just sort of ends up working as like a big health bar, which also is not. That's not what we're making here. So this is completely different. How do I get that across? It's overhauling it. Like, I'm not going to throw this work away to something that doesn't quite have the wish list it needs. So rethink. For now. So I'm going to be getting artists to help with the game. I may redo Next Fest. So that means that I'll have to repay the Steam fee, change the name of the game potentially, and just redo Next Fest. Just a bit, look, I need another go at this. Let's see how that goes. Maybe I do just plow ahead as we are, and maybe the game does do a bit better once we've got the variety, once we've got the other factions, and with a better trailer, maybe we'll get more wish lists like that. Also, the other thing that might happen is similar to my last successful game, Interrogation Simulator. We didn't have any wish lists for that. That game's horrible looking, but it survived on good reviews, right? So very little marketing. There was basically 0 wish lists and demo downloads after Next Fest. But when we released it, it was dead silence. But it just kept getting a trickle through of sales, a trickle of good reviews, until it got to the point of having a 95% positive review rating. And then it got 50 reviews to be very positive, and now we sell quite a few copies. Like, we sell a few copies every day. So that could always happen. Who knows? Who knows? Decisions. New year. Thinking deeply about all of these things. But today, I'm just going to clear my list. Because if I clear my list, I can then work on the undead faction. I'm a little bit rusty, so I don't know if we'll get as far as doing these. And we certainly won't get as far, so these being these kind of somewhat new abilities, these abilities that work with different rules, basically looking at the chain effect and seeing what we can do with that. And then certainly we're not going to start on making a new faction today. But we can easily do these. And yeah, maybe just play a bit just to remind myself where I'm at. And thank you, darling. Can I have a spoon, please?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Thank you. Just got some hot chocolate. Because we just went for a little walk, made a little snowman, all of that stuff. So that was nice. Alright. Actually, you know what? I kind of just want to play straight away. Make sure everything works. And just see how it goes. Where were we in terms of here? Okay, so we did have some. If I remember right, yeah, we haven't fully unlocked the tree yet. And we haven't. We've claimed all of these. So yeah, I can just do a play. I can just do a session. We haven't even unlocked difficulty 2. Okay, this is interesting. This is nice. I haven't really played much with this new setup yet. Thank you, babe.
No.
Do I have other levels? I do. Do I have other heroes? I do. I shouldn't have Orko, I don't think. Never mind. I feel like you should have to unlock Orko. Yeah, let's do Sean at the Ramparts. Difficulty 1. Let's go. Should do Orko at the Ramparts. Let's do a Sean. See how it plays, see how it feels. See how it runs, see if it runs smoothly, because I have made some serious optimizations towards the end of the year. And god, yeah, having a break is good, isn't it? Having an end of year break. Just complete reset, freshness, having good 2 to 3 weeks of just not looking at work. It's nice. Okay, I want priests. Priests are good. And yeah, just having like a fresh mind to really kind of think deeply and philosophically about my game, what I'm making here. I mean, I think we fundamentally, yeah, we've got something here. This is fun, it clicks right away. Maybe the sound is a bit chaotic. I guess we can turn it down. Let me see, is the balancing good there? Does it feel like the game is too noisy? Probably does, right? Or maybe it's fine. You know, I'll turn it down a little bit just in case, and if anyone's watching, they can tell me if my audio level's correct here. I know most of the people who watch this watch it after, like, not when it's live. Shield is good. Let's try shield. Some survivability. Yeah. We need some ranged allies. That's what we need for this army. It's tough not having any rerolls yet. Yeah, just a quick one today. Not going to stay on for too long. Yeah, there's our ranged unit. Oh yeah, I remember I gave tier 2 units a bit more health. Or at least it feels like that. Yeah, that seems like the pick. Was it, yeah, Mirror Blade, I think that is. Yeah, that's probably worth checking out. I feel like that might be one of the ones that I thought was a good idea, but actually isn't. So mirror, if you mix shield and attack speed, first of all, that's a good synergy off the bat, because it just means your shield recharges faster. But if you combine them, you make Mirror Blade, and Mirror Blade... I'm just thinking about... Mirror Blade, like, reflects enemy attacks. But the thing is, when there's this many attacks flying around, and since it has, like, a cooldown and everything, like, it doesn't feel that useful. It doesn't feel that fun. Yeah, what do people think? Like, will this game do a lot better if it looks nicer? Because at the moment it doesn't look very nice. It's just a bit too scrappy. And then, yeah, little things on the gameplay as well. It's not just the look of the game that could improve, but could the gameplay improve? Like, should we lean much more into this army vibe? And kind of put even less emphasis on the player unit? I mean, I feel like that's the strategist in Bull Pit. Like, never mind Bull Pit, but like having a character who really can't use any weapons, but just goes around collecting stuff, but has more slots for allies. Yeah. I mean, it isn't meant to be a game that's going to be played for like hours on end by lots and lots of people. It is a niche game for people to muck around with for a little bit. What should we do for this last one? Guess looter for the lazy. Although we don't have any shields, but we could get them. But we're not going for that style. So yeah, let's get this defender. Shields are OP, or at least one shield in your army is a good idea. So that would either come from the knight or the shield bearer. Just means arrows and ranged attacks don't cut through your entire army so much. Oh yeah, this one's just so good. Vengeful mana, 20% chance to heal 20 arrows. No, yeah, Vengeful mana, always a good one for Sean. So another thing I'm thinking of changing is, should Sean's ability, like summoning units seems more like a necromancer kind of move, or like a, and I think Sean's should be more like summon, like bring all the units to you, like next to you, and buff them, that kind of thing. Which kind of, I think that would be better for Sean, but we are sort of almost out of the woods of like the fundamentals and making sure they all work. Done a lot of work to optimize lately. Oh, lovely. Wow, I haven't had one of these for ages. That's really rare. A legendary chest. Okay. That means we're probably going to win this run. Yeah. Yeah, taking a break gives you perspective. This game fundamentally works. Like, it's very easy just to slip into it. Just start mucking around, start playing and know what to do and feel good about knowing what to do and then doing it. Go get the big clump of stuff on the floor. Pick the right stuff. If you got a shield, go run into the big pack of enemies, take some licks for your team, upgrade your units, watch the chaos unfold. Running very smoothly today. Nice. Yeah, maybe I'm just used to the look. I don't think it looks that bad, but I think if this looked nice, if this looked really nice. But yeah, I think when you're playing it, it's not, the look isn't too bothersome. Like, it's clean, you can see what's going on, and it's kind of colourful enough to be attention-grabbing. I'm just going to turn this down. I can kind of barely hear myself over the sound. Thank you, darling. Yeah, the hot chocolate was delicious. Yeah, the look is like not too bad, but I think the main thing is that the look isn't appealing at a glance. So for people who are thinking, should I click on that video to watch it, or should I wishlist this game? Should I keep watching this trailer? They're sort of going to say no, because it looks like a sort of amateur MS Paint game. Because it is. It is. It's just that there's a little bit more to it than that. So far, no errors. Smooth. Performance. Should we get another priest? No. Let's get a bannerman. Which are big achievements that did not come easily. Sort of feels sometimes like, oh my god, I haven't made much progress, but it's like that's because of those invisible things. We don't really need that chicken, we've got enough healing going on. The shield is helping a lot for my survivability. Yeah, Paladin. Well, let's see. Let's push for this one. Good, good, good. Now I'm trapped. Crowd surfing. Another thing people have complained about, but I really don't mind. I mean, I do mind, but it's one of those things that's like, yeah, it's bothersome, but it's also part of the game. Like if you remove all friction. What look out the window? Is the clouds coming closer? Not quite snowing outside yet. Oh, it's nice seeing the recent ones. So frozen enemies. It's not snowing yet. Oh. Oh yeah, it is snowing. A couple of little flakes. Ah, snowing outside. That's nice. Okay, frozen enemies take 20% more damage. That could be really powerful because we... Oh, did I not pick? Oh, I did pick Ice Lance, yeah. Icicle. Yeah. So let's lean into the snow. Snow, snow, snow. Frostbite and snow. Okay. Boom. Nice. There we are. I think I want to research, and I guess I don't want to not do my usual thing, but I want to ask a question. Is there a Tetris roguelike? Yeah, not really. Drop Duchy is not quite it for me. And we're actually losing some of the XP bits of despawning because there's too many on the floor. That makes me very upset. I wonder if I can fix that. Yeah, that's a simple one. So I just go in here, go to GM, go XP gem, and we want to make that, just add more. Times 10. And times 5. Good. And I won't save that because otherwise I'll lose this run. Okay. Spear, hammer. Let's go for hammer then. See if we can get our blacksmith going. Should be fun. And yeah, it's all really kicking off. And yet the performance, even though I'm playing it on my cruddy computer within Unity, is fine. So that's good. That's really good, actually. Very pleased about that. Throwing daggers. Yeah, I mean, I haven't quite got the crit thing going, but... See, what I would have wanted is to get another ice lance. Sorry, icicle. There's no such thing as ice lance in this game. Yeah. Well, I still can. Oh, wait, no, I can't. I would need to eat a weapon. At least there's the sound effect. You see, the ice throwing daggers are so small, you can barely tell they're happening, but this game isn't alone in having things like that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this run's going very well. I mean, I do need input. I do need feedback. I mean, I've had a couple bits of feedback on the gameplay that, like someone said that the units were superfluous and that they didn't really change the outcome of the game, which is just plain incorrect. But the thing I need to think about is, why did someone feel like that? And they might have just been plain wrong, and I shouldn't listen to them, but it's little things like that which do really help me. Like, should we change the way abilities work altogether and things like that, you know? Okay. Yeah, I can't really see that the throwing daggers are doing anything. I can hear them. And I know that they are doing something. But I can't feel the throwing daggers' impact. In fact, I can't feel much of my impact at all. But I can see there's lots of blue guys. So obviously the frost bolts are working. And I know that these blue guys are taking 20% more damage. So that's cool. That's working as intended. I like that. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Okay, now we're going to start to feel it. It snowed like a dribble of snow, but not very much. It stopped snowing again. For anyone who's not from the UK, it never snows here. Okay, yeah, this is working. And it's running smoothly, which is a big deal. It was not always so. I don't know what third one I'd pick. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is cool. I like this. My big army versus their big army. Let's roll. Luck is always good. Mark is generally good. Luck is always good. Okay. I mean, it is like, if anything, it's just like a little bit tough to see exactly why one army is winning over the other, but it is just big blobs of units. And that is the kind of game we're producing here. It's sort of fun and chaotic, and let's zoom out a bit. Ooh. All allied projectiles gain 1 chain. Is that OP? That feels ridiculously OP. We only have 1 ally with a projectile. But then for that matter, we've only got 1 ally with a melee weapon. But our ally's projectile is useful. Holy Summon. And I don't heal, so it's got to be this one. Big chain. We're on for the final stretch now. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let's get all of this. Upgrade everything to full. Between me and my men, we've killed 3.3 thousand enemies so far. Give me that. I mean, you know that this dagger is doing something, because you can see all these yellow numbers when I go near the enemy. See that? And that's my little throwing daggers bouncing around the enemy. Okay, let's go up and get that chest. And yeah, despite it being about as this is about as demanding as the game can get, because we've got buffers and we've got lots of enemies and lots of allies, and the killing is happening fast. Wow, a purple one. Okay. Okay, let's see what Saruman can conjure. Is this all you can conjure, Saruman? No, they're disappearing. We need more. Okay, yeah, here they come. Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's go. And like, we haven't really got much survivability for the player, but yeah, I mean, having Big Chain is OP. It would be even more OP if I had an army of ranged units. But that's what this game is all about. We are on the lowest difficulty setting, so we should be kind of mopping up right now with a build like that. Okay, Wolf Armor, Bannerman. I'm going to go with the Shield Bearer, see if we can get Blacksmith going. And just crowd surf it. We've won. We've won. I mean, this is what it's supposed to be like. It's supposed to be kind of easy and cathartic at this level. I mean, famous last words. That big horde of orcs come in. Performance is pretty good, but I'd say very good for the extent of what's happening in the game. Yeah. Very nice. Wow, okay, yeah. And obviously the computer's struggling a little bit, but again, I think if this wasn't running out of Unity, or if the computer was slightly better, we wouldn't be having trouble. Okay, we're actually Getting there. I lost a bit of health there. Yeah, give me the Frost Mage, since that's kind of our build at the moment. Attack speed for survivability. Yeah, looking good. It's our last loot goblin. There we go. Couple chests, but I think we've won. We're not going to need them. Yeah, 15 seconds. Yeah, this has been a good run. And then here comes the foot. Oh no, there he goes. Very nice. Okay. Yeah, that was fun. I want to see it snow some more. It will. Alright. So we got some achievements. It's 5:20 minutes. 5:20 minutes is Sean. Ramparts, kills, damage. Competent combos. Would have liked to see the character upgrade a bit more, but I suppose that's kind of par for the course. Yeah, I mean, we don't need to think about it too much. Let's just buy stuff. Okay, looking good. So that would be our... Okay, so the game is good. It's fun. It's not like incredible. I don't know if it's like ball pit good in terms of gameplay, but it's still that same sort of chaotic mayhem that doesn't require too much skill or too much thought. There's too much randomness for you to worry about playing too well or winning and losing. But there's still enough control to feel like we're sort of... You've got this big chaotic thing and you can kind of throw things at it and see how it reacts. Okay, on buff artifacts. So how do we make artifacts in this game? On buff. So first of all, add buff. Artifacts dot contains. Yeah. Happens on the character. Artifacts. Bloody selection thingy. Artifacts dot contains. So here's the one where we say if you do an ultimate, here's where we activate artifacts that are dependent on whether someone's done an ultimate, or if you got an ultimate buff, there's a chance that when you use your ultimate that you'll buff people around you. In fact, you will buff people around you. There's not a chance. There's a 100% chance. And what's the note here? Something happens every time you buff a unit. So every time you buff a unit, not every time a unit is buffed. And so what are the procs? I have this on a mirror board. Mirror's great. Oh, I lost all my cookies recently. I was working on Microsoft Edge, and for some reason it just would not remember. It would just log me out of everything every time I logged in. So, and it happened too many times. So I switched to Chrome. So now, okay, so here we are, have artifacts. So on crit, heal 10. So yeah, what are the things that could happen when I buff someone? We could summon someone, that seems reasonable. We could heal them. And it would have to be, so add buff. Okay, this doesn't pay attention to who did the buffing. We would need to check who did the buffing. Let's do a quick search the whole project for add buff. Okay, so maybe we can do that. So we've got, how many different versions of add buff have we got? Just 2. So add buff, if you don't specify whether it's visible, it assumes that it is visible. But we could do another one where we ask who did the buffing. Is this worth doing? Yeah, I think it's worth doing. So it's variety. It's more build craft. If you find yourself that your character does buffs, so you have the Scroll of Inspiration, or you have another artifact that does buffs, then this will be really useful. So yeah, it is worth doing, but it is going to be a bit tricky. So is that there's no other reason that it would come up who did the buff. So maybe instead, but what essentially what I want to do is say, we would say either character buffer, or we would say character, or like player buff, like the player has done the buffing, and then if the player has done the buffing, then we run through our buff artifacts and do the outcomes. Or we look at the instances where we say add buff. It's not character.add. Oh yeah, it is character.add buff. But yeah, it wouldn't be that, because that's like a separate thing. So these are buffs that are coming from. These are buffs that are coming from the player doing something, and it's adding a buff to the player from unlocking a talent. So there's loads of those, and these would certainly not apply. Okay. Yeah, so there's add buff here. And melee is also magic. So this is a bit of a, this is quite misleading. Basically, I figured that a melee attack and an AoE attack are functionally the same. A melee attack is simply a short range, low AoE attack, right? And an AoE attack can be a friendly effect. Interesting. Wait, hold on. Okay, yeah, we don't make the AoE effect because we... Okay, never mind. So here's where we do our buffs. The weapon has a buff, add the buff. And let me just double check that the banner thinks of... Oh, it's attack type magic. Interesting. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. Okay, so we do differentiate there. Yeah, I was a bit mistaken then. So a magic attack is still functionally the same, but yeah, we have... We can add the buff. Where's the buff? I think it's the AoE effect that carries the buff. Okay. Okay, so here is where we would say, did the player do it? Right? And then there's another instance, which is make random buff, which I think is here. Or is it on character? It is on character. Which only occurs as a result. Like, this is always going to be the player that is doing this. So how do we determine that the player is the one who gave the buff? It's not difficult. It's just, what's the best way to do it? Is there any other reason that we would want to know whether it was the player or someone else? Well, we might, but at the moment, no. Add buff. If we just go ahead and say, like, if we just go ahead and add this, then it's going to tell us all the bits of code that we need to edit, because we just go through the error list and we find that and say, okay, well, it's either going to be null or we don't want to have to determine it each time. What's the best way to do this? What is the best way to do this? Did the player do it? So it's like here, we say, well, I think these ones are always visible, and What do we say? Character dot is player. Luckily we already have a bool there. So that would return true if it's the player and not true if it's not the player who did it. That would be all of our banners, like all of the buffs that happen in the field. And then the other instance where it happens is make random buff. Which I'm going to go ahead and check all, because there's not that many. Are all of these coming from artifacts? I think they are. Right, so we will say then buff list, and then what we're doing is we're making an AoE effect for that random buff. Interesting. And it is coming from the player. So actually that should be it. I'm making a big song and dance about this, but it might be that I've just already done it with that one line of code, or at least found the spot. So where was that? That was weapon container. No, that was AoE effect. So all buffs are ultimately produced by this AoE effect. All the buffs that we're concerned about here. So we don't even need that. We could just say here it is. Like if character dot is player, then our target buffs, our buff bits. So we can go this. We don't need this bool. It's not happening in here. So we're looking at AoE effect, and this is where we put our logic for artifacts. Artifacts. Okay, that's where it goes. So essentially what I'll do is I'll take, so critical, just as an example, I will kind of copy and paste this. Critical being the kind of baseline type of buff, type of artifact. Yeah. So if it's a player, buff procs. So we could have buff summon. So every time the player buffs someone, we summon. Okay, so yeah, let's look at that Miro board. It's not that clear, but basically this is sort of where I've got all of the things that are good things to happen on a proc. The proc is the buff occurring. The outcome is here. So we could say every time you buff someone, you've got a chance to summon an ally. Yeah, that makes sense. Should there be one? So yeah, on crit, let's change the color of these a bit. And 10 allies killed. We've already changed a lot of this. This really just is for view. So we said on crit, summon an ally. So we could say on buff, and we just see which ones make sense and which ones don't. Say all of these should say on buff. Okay. On buff, summon an ally. That works. On buff, heal. It would sort of make sense every time we buff someone that those allies are healed. On buff, deal extra damage? No. We do have double buff. So every time you buff someone, you'll buff them twice, which already will work with the logic that we have. On buff allies, obviously that's not going to work. On buff gain mana, yeah, that works. On buff reset weapon cooldowns, that also works. And on buff rain effect, which I've kind of switched off for all of them actually. So we probably won't include that, but there we have buff summon. Yeah, and would there be one for heal all allies or heal self? Yeah. So holy crit is and critical heal. So yeah, a critical. So buff heal doesn't sound great, but and then holy buff, and then double buff, and then no critical. Oh, this shouldn't be in play mode. No critical buff. Buff mana. Buff reset. And we'll skip buff rain. So we've already got the logic. The logic should basically work. It's just the percentages. So the player has buffed someone. We have a chance to summon an ally. The player has healed. Sorry, the player's buffed someone. Heal list. How did we do that before? Where is heal list created? Okay, that's stored. All right. Yeah, let's just make list character heal list equals new list character. Damage. So this doesn't apply. Also, let's just quickly. This doesn't take too long. Just do this. Just make sure all these names match. Reset just resets the all the weapon abilities. And then so it's a matter of figuring out what these percentages should be. Like, that could be rather high. The thing is, actually, depending on, I mean, for the humans at least, it's quite rare. Like, there's only one weapon that does buffing, and it's it's quite hard to get a buff off. You either need an artifact or you need a very specific weapon, which is a combo weapon. Double buff doesn't belong here. So it is quite rare, so I think 5% is probably fine. Like, basically, it's as likely as getting a crit, because, yeah, it's not going to happen. It's quite difficult to get one going, but if you do get one going, and it means that basically if I get Scroll of Inspiration, the one ability that allows me to buff my allies, and I have some of these, that's going to be really OP, and that's going to be really fun. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it there. We can always delete it, we can always change it, we can always rethink it, but this is fine. So, yeah. These percentages are fine. I'll just keep them how they are, and we can always modify them then if needed. So here we've got buff reset. So yeah, I'll just keep these as they are. Every time I buff someone, I might get some mana. So that might, like, in theory, these should be balanced. So I'm going to assume they are. And we can always change it as we go. So then the other thing, of course, is to create the artifact. So we go to artifacts. And I'll do the exact same thing. I'll take my critical ones. Okay, yeah, so first... We'll take our critical ones and we'll edit as necessary. So first we need to create the slots for the sprites. So I'll just go buff summon, let's copy buff, buff heal, a holy buff, double buff, buff, nope. Buff mana, buff reset, buff rain isn't a thing because we're not doing the rain ones turned out to not be that good, so it was a proc that would cause like things to rain from the sky. Like they could be good, like if you had critical rain, every time you do a crit you have a chance to cause a rain effect, and if that rain effect could then crit, it could get insane, but it actually wasn't very good. Rain effects are not really the thing. I don't know, maybe they will be later, but fine. Okay, holy buff sprite. What's wrong with that? Ah, we have one which is, I think because we already have one. What's wrong with holy buff sprite? On player heal, holy buff. Huh. So holy buff here is when you do when the player does a heal, we buff someone. So maybe we need to change the name of that. Buff heal, and it's a bit confusing, but buff heal heals everyone. No, heals the player, and holy buff would buff heal would heal the player, and holy buff would heal everyone a little bit. But then we have the holy prefix for when the player heals, and it never really came up as a problem until now. So I'll just call it like holy buffer. And over in AoE effect, let's call it holy buffer. Holy buffer, holy buffer. I mean, it should probably have a more flavorful name anyway. I should close some of these because I've got too many open at once. So yeah, holy buffer. Yeah, we're in artifacts. So not HUD, not Steam enums, not beanstalk, not item. Artifacts. Okay, double buff, buff mana, buff reset. That all works. And once again, we will copy our critical and kind of just do the same for the buffs. Critical. So this is buff, and we're just gonna we can kind of start by just finding the word critical and changing it for buff. Buff, buff summon, buff heal. Delete the ones that don't apply. Holy buffer. Holy buffer. Very boring stuff. Holy buffer. Okay, yeah, that should do it. Obviously, all these translations are going to be wrong, but we can at least do them in English. So, chance to summon a random ally on player buff. Player buff. Player buff. Player buff. And on player buff. Is it well understood that player buff means that the player has done the buff? Not sure. Okay. Okay, that really is that. We need to draw the sprites. So how does that work? We go over to our artifacts and we artifacts, sprites, artifacts. And so here we have all of the images for the artifacts, and the background is like, so like again with critical as an example, the yellow splat there means it's critical, and then the thing inside means what happens on the critical. So this is the image for summon, so it's critical summon, critical heal, holy crit, double crit. So it's like this is the sign for damage, and it's like it's saying this is a more impactful crit. And then this is critical buff. So we would need like that symbol. So this is our sort of symbol for buff, right? This is our symbol for mana, our symbol for reset, and our symbol for rain. So we have a similar thing. Yeah, this one is if you kill, you've got a chance to buff. So I probably, like, this isn't going to work as a background. So I'll need to make a new background. Which is this shield. Like that. So like about the same size. Oof. Yeah, so it doesn't come down, but it does point up like that, and then that'll have to do. Okay, and then let's tidy this up a bit. Yeah, all right. And then we make that the very same blue. Is that the same blue? No. No, that blue. So we need to switch to that layer and get that blue. No. There we are. And then so we can kind of copy like that. So we'll make a few of these. How many have we got? We've got like 4 of them. So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. And then we will take this buff summon, buff heal, holy buff. It's another thing to think about. Is like, although they are very different things, maybe just for the sake of simplicity, it's better to have. Yeah, this would be double buff. For the sake of simplicity, let's not have one that heals you or the ally. Like maybe it should just be one for the allies. That would actually make more sense. Because it kind of forces the player to lean into, hey, this is all about the allies, not you. That's not 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There should be 6. There should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. One, 2, 3, 4. Which one? Oh, I'm missing double buff. I like double buff. It sounds like double bluff. So double buff. Double buff sprite. Okay, yeah. So yeah, up here, I do indeed have 6. Yeah. Okay. And this is the really special one, and this is maybe kind of trickiness in design, because this would apply to all units, that when they buff, and that's another thing. Sorry, I'm getting on tangents here. Okay, 10% chance. So all effects of buffs are doubled, and of course, straight away, that sounds really good. That sounds way better than everything else. The issue there is it doesn't synergize with anything except for like simply having buffs a thing in your army. There is a distinction between procs performed by the player and procs performed by the army. But maybe because I want to make this really about your army rather than your unit, rather than the player character, that it should because I want it to be about the army rather than the player character, that I should really just lean into these ones that are solely for the player. So rather than having one that here's something that has a chance to proc when the player does something. It should be a much lower chance to proc when any character does something. So like we would get rid of all of these and say there's a chance to heal all the units. So yeah, there's a chance to summon another unit every time a fellow unit is buffed. My instinct is that's obviously better. That's obviously correct. Similar to the crits. Yeah, that does make sense. So like at the moment we have this that procs. All of these proc when the player does a crit. But instead it should proc when anyone in my army does a crit. Why is that useful? Because it means that suddenly rogues have become a very viable option. So if I have rogues because they have daggers have a high chance to crit. Okay, I need to put that. I think that's correct. That's the kind of good design decision that's made after the new year, I think. So so 10% chance to heal, and we should get rid of the ones that just heal the player. No. This is about having an army. So 10% chance, or like 1% chance it would be to heal all allies anytime one of my guys crits. Or anytime one of my guys crits, they heal for a certain amount. Similarly, we have these ones, holy, which only apply, so player heal means that the player has done some healing. But what it should be is something like every time an allied unit does a heal, this has a chance to happen. So, but it would be more targeted. So yeah, in this case, holy buff. Instead of buffing everyone, or a chance to buff everyone, when the player heals someone, it really ought to be anytime one of my units heals someone, anytime anyone is healed, for whatever reason, then the target of that heal might get a buff. Holy mana. 50% chance to gain 1 mana on player heal. So no, anytime anyone is healed, I've got a small chance to get a tiny bit of mana. Yeah. Holy reset, same thing. The target of the heal would have a slight chance to get a bit of healing. The chicken ones are fun. Summon 3 allies and eating chicken doesn't need to change. Chicken 3 times delicious. Yeah. Ultimate, same thing. Summon 4 random allies and ultimate. Yeah, these kind of can just stay the same. The buff ones, for sure. Vengeful is when an ally dies. So when an ally dies, they might explode. I might summon... Oh, is that the only one we got left? So yeah, when an ally dies, they could cast a buff on the people around them. When an ally dies, I could reset all my weapons. That seems fine. I don't know why I would have commented that out. I guess it just didn't feel that good compared to the others. But I'm kind of really rethinking a lot of these. Killer, same thing. So this is when the player kills someone. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we want to reward builds as well. Like, so this is every time the player kills someone, something can happen. This is rewarding someone who has made a strong build for their character. Like we would keep these. We would keep these. I've invested in my character rather than my allies. And oh, here's this artifact. I'm going to pick this one. Killer. The crit still applies when the player does something, and we could even have a hidden stat where it's like more likely if the player does it. So at the moment, it's like, how would that work? So we have critical. Right, so at the moment, so what we would do is get rid of that and make the chance much smaller. But we would say if damager is player is equal to true, then like roll multiply, then so dice equals random dot range 0.10. Like, I don't know how exactly, but you would weigh the die more heavily. Like, you'd have a higher chance. Yeah, like, you just have a higher chance if it's the player. Or at least, like, if the player's doing something because of all the different things that they might have. Sorry, I'm getting a bit lost in the weeds here on artifacts, but I think it is important to get this right. So the note becomes, yeah, we got double buff, double debuff. So this is whenever an enemy is debuffed, there's a chance that they might have it twice. That's a fairly simple one. Let's go ahead and put that in, because these will all stay the same, which is going to change how they work. And then, so we'll just kind of lump it in here. Let's make another one of these. Double debuff. And then, so still need to program double buff and double debuff. So down here we would have chance for all like I want to say all the debuffs that allied units do to enemy units, that for all, like all how would I phrase that? For all debuffs, it's like a friendly debuff. Is that one that's on our friend or one that our friend did? All friendly debuffs. A chance for friendly for debuffs to apply twice to enemies. When a debuff is applied to an enemy, when any debuff is applied to an enemy, 5% chance to apply it twice to double it. When any debuff is applied to an enemy, yeah, and then down here, of course, double debuff. Okay. And then, so this language would be the same. And so yeah. And we could just like let's get that out of the way, because I just want to, what I want to do is tidy this list up. So yeah, double debuff every time a unit. So let's do double buff and double debuff. That is actually quite complicated. We did this. This is done actually. I need to draw the sprites for it. Actually, I know I've drawn the sprites for it. I just need to export them, and you know could be a bit nicer as well. It's kind of off center, it seems. Let's just do that. Yeah, I said this would be a short stream, and it will be. Well, we're getting into. So yeah, if anyone's interested, if anyone's watching these, my new schedule will be 4 till 6 p.m. for streams for doing live live work. I may stream outside of that time, but the idea is to stick within that time. I will be having a day job soon, to which is why I've set up this schedule. I'll be getting home at 4, and then Fridays I'll be getting home at 3:30, spending a bit of time with my son, then doing these streams, and then Fridays will be a different thing altogether. But so I might, but yeah, this is generally going to be the new stream time, and then Fridays we'll see. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. The big note is change all buffs to be less to have less emphasis on player, because yeah, it just means that there's more synergies. So like if I get critical summon, that's good for me if I have lots of stuff that crits. It's also good for my army if they have lots of stuff that crits. It also makes me think that my talents, for example, crit rate, should apply to my whole army. So that crit rate wouldn't just apply to me, it would apply to my whole army. I think that's the thing. I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way to go. Because it means that Rogue and Dagger synergizes with crit artifacts. I wish some of you in the YouTube would talk to me and tell me, I don't know, I need advice. Am I being crazy here? But I want to change these artifacts. I don't want to get lost in the weeds messing around with artifacts while I should be like adding content and releasing the game. But this feels important. Critical heal. Yeah, 10% chance. Like instead of when I crit heal all my allies, it would be when my ally crits, heal them. Heal the one that did the crit. Meaning that it just compounds the synergies and just makes them more like army wide, which seems like a good idea. Do I want to sort of create more stuff that applies to just the player to kind of help facilitate a player hero focused build rather than an army focused build? Would I be losing some of that? Would I be taking that away? Because it would even make it that like having like 2 heals would be cool if the heals have a chance to add a buff and reset the weapons, you know? Like especially you get like an artifact right at the beginning and it just really gives you like, yeah, lets you sit into a play style. Is this better? Is it better than it was? Is it better to have? Yeah, is it better? Critical buff. Every time any unit does a crit, they have a chance to get a buff. Which is like cool. It rewards crit, but it also applies to the player. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do that. So change all buffs and talents to have less emphasis on the player. Let's look at the talents. Again, the mirror board is a really easy way to just jump to. So, like, armor. All units have more armor. It's called boots now. All units are a little bit faster. All units have rations. All units have a bit more HP. Luck is now a bit more balanced. All units have a bit more range. All units have higher attack speed. Kind of nullifies time. The thing about time magic is that they would all have more attacks. Like, the cool thing about that is that everyone got it. But yeah, everyone gets more attack speed. Everyone gets more movement speed and attack speed. It's time magic. They get both. They stack with each other. Yeah. All units get crit rate. All units get airweight. All units get damage. All units get mark. So if time magic is attack speed plus an ice switch, it better be damn powerful. Like, everyone better be going really fast. Yeah, and that's cool. And then and then space magic is like, everyone better be really big with lots of HP and lots of AoE. And just break the game. Everything on the screen is exploding. That would be fun. That would be cool. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Why didn't I do it like that before? Is it because I wanted to reward solo players? Is it because it was too OP? It's because I wanted to leave some of the stuff to be... But it should all just apply to the whole army. And it really forces players to get into... And yeah, and we have to get into this army vibe. And then we have one of the early unlocks but an early unlock on the beanstalk to have an artifact unlock at the beginning. Like, you just get a random one at the beginning. And then we wouldn't need to make this exception. So, okay, so we have our on-buff artifacts. Like, that is done. Let's just say, like, it doesn't need... I'm not going to bother, like, fixing the look of these, because that's clearly off-center, but I'll just bung that in, just to kind of finish the workday. So we go artifacts, and... It's so annoying the way it does this. I don't know if anyone's seen this in Unity. But for whatever reason, instead of adding them to the top, adding them to the bottom, it adds them to the top. So I have to move all of these up. Really annoying. Really, really annoying. But you know what? It's not too bad. Can I press shift to, like, snap? No, I can't do it. Could I... That's not right. Huh? What's going on? Okay, so if I took... Thing is, I can't select all of them. But could I just go... Okay, so I'll just copy paste that, and then if I do that, it's a bit easier. Yeah, I guess that's a bit easier. This is so silly that I have to do this. Like, just add them from the bottom. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't really know how to phrase the question to get an answer. Of like, is there a way to change it so it doesn't work like that? Never mind. This is why podcasts exist. Podcasts exist. Usually on my... But now I'm streaming, I can't do podcasts. I have to be my own podcast. But okay, this isn't too bad. Just a bit of tedious manual labour. It's good for the soul. Right, so this will be in. And we can confidently say that we have achieved our goal of adding artifacts, which are to do with buffing and we are going to go through and we're going to improve buffs in general. We're going to improve artifacts and talents in general. I mean, maybe I should just be like adding new ones to the top, but it only applies when I've added a whole new row. Which is bloody annoying. Almost there. Up in there. Right. So silly. Okay, and then we'll make more. And I don't need to name them because I haven't been naming them so far. Need to match them up, which means if I'm not naming them, I'm just worried that like I'll lose the references. So where these are referenced to, where these are clicked and dragged onto bits in the so yeah, now I need to go to artifacts, which fortunately at the moment I think only have to exist on the GM in the main game. And attach all of them. And I can trust buff summon. Yeah, let's just drag them. Buff heal, holy buffer, double buff, buff mana, buff reset. Okay. Oh, so that's done. And yeah, I think it's going to be better for the game. Change all buffs and talents to have less emphasis on the player. Okay, so we've done this. Double buff. So we need to go to is player. Okay. We would have one which is outside of this is player paradigm, which all of them will be eventually, but let's just finish the work that I set myself for today. And if it's double buff, so anytime an AoE effect causes a buff to happen, then okay, let's look at like add the buff again. Target add buff. New buff. Buff name plus double, like copy 2. And then the rest is the same. Ooh, maybe it should be. Yeah, we just double the value. We'll just add it again. Yeah, we just double the value. Buff. So we put this here. Yeah, so we would do all of this, but so yeah, when we add a buff, we add a new buff. Buff.name, buff.stat, buff.value times value multiplier, which doesn't exist yet. Permanent buff.time times value multiplier buff.sprite. Okay. And we say float value multiplier equals 2 equals 1 f. And then here, if this has all happened, value multiplier plus equals 2f. And then the time is also by the value multiplier. Yeah, I don't see why not. It's double the buff, double the time. So then that would lean into, okay, yeah, I've got the one that means that, yeah, like this works. This works. Yeah. And then we've got a bunch of things that would proc if the character is the player, but we're going to get rid of that and just reduce the percentages. But it wouldn't be heal everyone. It would be heal the target of the buff. But we can deal with that later. That's a separate job. Double buff. The problem here is that this applies to debuffs as well. I think the best way to deal with that is, let's find our buff. Handy permanent. So some of these are negative. Like, I could like put in. I think I need to put in here. So like a buff includes being on fire, but that's obviously a debuff. All the rules will be the same, except that we would want to say. So we could just ask: is the buff a debuff? Name, stat, value. So we would have a bool. Public bool debuff. Debuff equals debuff. Bool debuff with a lowercase d. That's how the magic works. And of course, big D. Yep. Yep. Okay, and that's going to cause like everything to break because of all these times where we ask for a buff. So let's do that. So buff. I think all the ones that from leaves are positive. Permanent. Wait, so we go value, and then, yeah, so before true it would be, so false. Attack speed. Yeah, this is, I mean, it doesn't really matter in this case, but we could just say false. It's not a debuff. And of course, all of these are positive. All of these are not debuffs. These are buffs. And it doesn't really matter. It's not going to make a difference, but I guess it doesn't hurt to have it. And I just really need to make sure I'm always going before the word true there. And this is some tedious work. Okay, I think I'm going to call the stream there, and I'm just going to do this like while I listen to a podcast or something. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, if you did join, and thanks for watching it after the fact. And yeah, like and subscribe and all that stuff. And yeah, exciting times for Warbeans. Let's see which direction we go in, making some changes. Going to be sort of finishing the gameplay, the content soon enough, and I'd love to overhaul the graphics. And yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be a really exciting year. So yeah, thanks for joining. Have a good evening. Bye.